Thank you for tuning in. Draft night tonight. New York Islanders getting the draft started at number 1 overall. Projected first overall pick. Matthew Schaefer expected to go to the Islanders. Look, Islanders kind of started off this night earlier in the day, kind of showing who they're going to take. I know we all expected Matthew Schaefer. Michael Misa's kind of been there. Porter Matone, Antoine Frendel. I mean, there's a few players who are kind of there. It's kind of known that it's going to be Schaefer now after that Noah Dobson trade earlier today with Montreal. If you guys have thoughts on that, definitely go into the comments and let me know. Honestly, I think if the Islanders find a way to get into the top 5, top 7, makes sense. They're going into a rebuild. If they don't, then, Montreal got a really good player. Montreal did well in this trade either way. But if the Islanders don't get into that top 5, top 7 area, it definitely doesn't look as nice for the Islanders. Devils, first time since 2023, they won't be picking in the first round. They don't have a first round pick tonight. 2 second-round picks tomorrow. A third-round pick at 99th, 114, and 2 sixth-round picks as well. There could be some type of... We've seen a couple of rumors around guys like Dawson, Mercer, Dougie Hamilton. The situation with what they're going to do with Jake Allen. That's something that I think a lot of people are not just Devil fans looking into, because you look at the goaltending market and what it looks like this year. It's not very good. Jake Allen, although over 35 years old, is probably the top guy on the market. More of a backup. There's been rumors saying he's looking for a 2-year deal, could get in that $5 million AAV. New Jersey, if you're looking at that, yes, you need a backup goaltender, but I talked about it earlier. There are certain positions where you don't put that type of money into, especially when you have needs. There's no reason why they should be going for, a backup goaltender at around $5 million. Is he the best option? Probably, but that's why you build your team stronger in other places. That's kind of why the Devils don't have a first-round pick tonight. Because they said, oh, well, you know what? Our goaltending was not very good last year. Big reason we missed the playoffs. Let's go unload a little bit and go get Jacob Markstrom. Goaltending was a lot better. Jacob Markstrom proved that he can be a playoff goaltender. And, looking at that, you're probably not putting $5 million. Nico Daws, though, that does raise a question. You drafted him in 2020. So, if you're Tom Fitzgerald and Devils management and what you're going to do, if you've drafted a guy in 2020 and he's not able to take a backup role, this is my opinion. You guys can leave your opinions in the chat. If you're not going to let him go into a backup role in year 5, 6, where do you go with Nico Daws? It kind of feels like you move off of Nico Daws. If he's not ready to take a backup role this season and get you out of an extra $5 million on your, cap space, it doesn't make sense to stick with Nico Daws. Now, you look at Nico Daws' season last year, not great in Utica, not too much time in the NHL. So it's kind of more of what management thinks, what management feels. Is he ready? They know a little bit more than we do. The year prior didn't look very good in the Devils uniform, was a little bit better in the AHL. This season, struggled in the AHL, looked really good in the few starts he had with New Jersey, but like I said, it was few. So if you're New Jersey right now, looking, around the league and around at the goaltending market, there's not a ton of options. You probably don't want to go with $5 million to Jake Allen. But where do you go from there? What do you like from there? How do you fix this problem? Because you don't want the same problem you had 2 years ago. I mean, that turned what should have been a great season into a brutal one. I mean, they just went out and got Tyler Toffoli. They looked like they were a team that was, on the rise. They made the playoffs for the first time since 2018. It looked like a team that was kind of transitioning into that contention, I should say. Because you look back at that season, and you go to the year before. That was a bottom 5 team, all of a sudden top 3 in the league, and won a playoff round against a team that had just been to the Eastern Conference Final. That was a team where you really felt like, they've taken that next step. And maybe it didn't make sense from, outsiders looking in, but no, the development all came together at once. Jesper Bratt, Jack Hughes, Nico Hischier to career high in points. So when you looked at that team and what that team did, and then for the following year to watch the goaltending kind of just decimate it, it's definitely something that's going to be on the Devils' mind. It's definitely something that Tom Fitzgerald is not going to let happen again. He can't risk it. You can't risk having another year where your goaltending is the reason that you don't make the playoffs. Big reason why he went and got Jacob Markstrom. Or, Tom Fitzgerald might not be around right now. But, from all in all, though, Devils do have a decision to make. Do they go Jake Allen? Do they go Nico Daws? What makes the most sense? My personal opinion on this is that, if Nico Daws, year 6, is not ready to take a backup role, what are we doing here? What is he doing here? What is, the future plans? Now, obviously, Yegorov had a really nice season in college. Someone who they probably look to toward the future. Someone that they probably, have good expectations for. There's a guy in the draft who I'm really looking at in the second round, goaltender, Semyon Frolov. That's someone who, my personal opinion, I know there's a few guys out there, my personal opinion, this is the best goaltender in the draft. He should be still there at pick 60. Do you want to go with him? You think Yegorov's timeline, Jacob Markstrom plays next year, probably give him a 2-year deal. Hopefully Yegorov can step in and be a backup in that final year, if not the following year. And then you're kind of looking to, when is Frolov ready? When can you roll with those two? Now, we're thinking way ahead. Could this not even be a discussion in a few years? Possibly. But I think it would be a good one if we could have that discussion. I think it'd have a good ending. I think both people would be happy and keep talking. But, with the Devils' goaltending situation, not a ton on the market. Not something where, you're completely getting excited about. Jake Allen is probably the best goaltender on the market. So definitely with the goaltending, obviously that is a Devils need. We'll see what they do in the draft, though. Like I said, they don't pick until round 2. So not till tomorrow, but maybe they come back into the first round tonight. We'll have to wait and see on that. I'm happy you guys are here, though. Thank you for tuning in. We'll definitely be here for the draft and see if maybe the Devils sneak back in or maybe make a trade. I know that Dawson Mercer's name has been around a little bit. Dougie Hamilton, obviously his no trade clause becomes a 10-team trade list on July 1st. So, if he knows he's getting moved and he has one of those teams that he likes that wants to make a trade for him before the 10-team trade list comes in, well, maybe they do it. But no, we'll wait and see what the Devils are going to do. Hopefully they do something tonight because it's just more fun that way. More entertaining if the Devils decide to do something tonight. First pick up in a little bit, though. Projected Matthew Schaefer at first overall to the New York Islanders. The trade earlier today with Noah Dobson kind of sealed the deal. I'd be shocked at this point if Matthew Schaefer isn't the number 1 overall pick to the New York Islanders. I mean, I don't think you trade a player like Noah Dobson if you're not going to take the defenseman. Especially when, this draft, not as deep as prior ones. It's not as good of a draft as we had last year. Probably not as good as we had the year before that. The top-end talent is there, but not 16-17. Or you're taking a real risk by trading Noah Dobson. And we all know what they want to do. They want Shagans. They want to go get Schaefer. They want to get Hagans. They want to get those two. Those are the two that, that makes the Islanders' night. I mean, you have a new general manager. You want to get the crowd on your side quick because it seemed like toward the end, they were off Lou Lamoriello. They wanted him gone. Felt like years now. You want to get the crowd on your side quick. Well, James Hagans, Matthew Schaefer, 30 minutes apart. I think that would do it. But we'll see. They're about to make the first overall pick. New York Islanders, first overall, had a pretty decent jump, to say the least, to get the first overall pick. So, out in Los Angeles, NHL draft night, New York Islanders first overall pick. Let me know in the comments who you think is going to go first, or if there's any Devils news that you guys want to talk about, any prospects that excite you, any questions, any opinions. Let me know in the chat, and we can talk about all of that. I'll be here around for the draft, but waiting to see, they always stretch us out a little bit for the first overall pick. They like to get their time in. Like I said, though, Matthew Schaefer expected to go 1, Michael Misa at 2. I mean, that's a little interesting, though. So Michael Misa, I think, for most people, is, the number 2 prospect in this draft. The consensus second best player in this draft. But we've been seeing rumors around guys like Antoine Frundell potentially going to San Jose. Apparently, Greer loves him. Apparently, Greer, sees a vision, thinks, that's the guy to play behind Macklin Celebrini. Apparently, Greer is, or play with, either or, however you want to put it, because San Jose has quite a number of forward prospects. But they seem to really like Frundell. He's got a little bit more size than Misa, maybe a better play driver. NHL game, might translate a little bit better. I'm more so Michael Misa, though. I'll take the skating and the skill over the size any day of the week. Because, when you look at it, those type of players, like a Sam Bennett, who just signed an 8-year extension, those type of players I'm not going to draft high just because, they're physical presence. They can put up 50 points. Those type of players. That's something more so you would go out and get in free agency or trade. When you get a player like Michael Misa, who's probably a little bit more offensively talented, better skater, that's where I think you go. That's where I would go if I was San Jose. I would just stop myself because I was about to say that's where I think San Jose is going to go, but I really don't know. This draft actually gets really interesting basically after the first pick. I mean, here's the selection right now. Let's see. It's going to be Matthew Schaefer. there it is. So Matthew Schaefer, first overall pick to the New York Islanders. Look, it was projected for the past, say, 2-3 months now, at least, that he was kind of the number one pick, consensus number one pick. I mean, Michael Misa was sitting around there. Patron, Frundell, obviously James Hagen's earlier on, who still could be a New York Islander within the next half hour. But it's Schaefer, number one overall. Look, Islanders, rebuilding team, move off Dobson. Some contracts, not great, but getting better. You know, metropolitan team, that's still pretty good. You know, get ahead of it. Move off of Dobson, clear up some cap, give yourself a little bit more, you know, things to do, a little bit more leniency to go out and make, you know, a little bit more of a push or get a little bit closer to being contending playoff team. Matthew Schaefer, number one overall. Look, the difference between that, I think, obviously outside of position, you know, obviously one is a defenseman, the other one's a forward. But outside of that, the difference, I think, when you look at Schaefer and Misa and all these other guys is that Schaefer's 17 years old. You're betting a lot on upside. And I love doing that. I love betting on upside. You know, when you're drafting high, you shouldn't be taking safe picks. You're in that position because you had a bad year. You need something to change your team. Go with the guy who has the upside. Go with the guy who has a chance to be your number one defenseman, number one center. Not just, you know he's got, you know, a high ceiling or a high floor, but a low ceiling. No, go with the high ceiling. I mean, that's, at the end of the day, as a general manager, that's what's going to keep your job. Because, I mean, if you miss, you miss. But if you hit, well, you probably got a better team. And you're not going to hear for the next however many years, oh, well, you know what, you should have went with this guy. Wound up being a 60-point player. Well, this guy wound up being 80. So that's how I feel about it. And that's nothing against Michael Misa. Misa's going to be great. He's another one of those players, very highly skilled, moves up the ice quick. It's got great skating. I mean, that's what I look to. I look to the skating, and I mean, I think out of the players in this draft, Matthew Schaefer probably the best skater. And I mean, look, you're looking off how many games he played this year. Not a ton of games, but you go off the upside. He's 17. So 17 years old. First overall pick. They're doing something different this year. I mean, I don't know if you guys are watching your TVs right now, but a little bit different what they do after Schaefer just went number one. I mean, I guess they try and do something to make, I guess, fans a little bit more excited, a little bit more happier. My suggestion is go a little bit quicker. I think, you know, when the pick's in, when that thing goes, pick is in, and then we're waiting however long we are for them to actually go and make the pick. I think that we could do away with that. No, we can't because, you know, NHL's got to make their money. So I understand it, but that's a suggestion that I would give. But, you know, thanks for tuning in. We'll still be live, but appreciate you guys being here. Hopefully you hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. We'll be live here. Thank you for tuning in to Devil's Digest. Matthew Schaefer, number one overall. If you weren't here earlier, we were talking about the Devils' goaltending. You know, Nico Daws, year 6. If he's not ready yet, probably just move off him completely. Jake Allen wants, from what it's being rumored, could be 2 years, $5 million a year. You don't want to go to that number. There are certain positions where you don't spend that number. Said it earlier with Evgeny Kuznetsov. You don't spend a ton at third line center, especially when you have needs in your top 6. A top 6 winger, yeah, you can go ahead and spend. Maybe you overspend. But a third line center, you don't go and do that. Backup goaltender, when you just traded your first round pick and a little bit more, gave up a ton of assets to go get your starting goaltender. You probably don't spend $5 million on your backup goaltender. But let me know in the comments. Let me know what you think in the comments. Goaltending, who would you want to go with? Who do you like? Are you feeling comfortable with Daws? Would you, try and find a way to get a contract with Allen? Because apparently LA is big into him or wants him. Does he want to relocate all the way to the West Coast? Does he want to go play in Los Angeles? Is he happy on the East Coast? I mean, these are things that, definitely come into play. So Jake Allen needs a new contract. Does New Jersey get it done? Do you guys want New Jersey to get it done with Jake Allen? Watching the NHL draft. Could he go tonight, though? I mean, you could potentially trade his rights. Could you trade him to one of these teams that want a shot? Because there really are no good prospects. Or not prospects. Sorry, I got the NHL draft in my head. There's no top-end goaltending talent in terms of free agency. It's a bunch of backups, fringe backups, players that, kind of were that one-year wonder. This is not a good goaltending market. So that's why you get a player like Jake Allen, who's very good, but is going to get paid like the top goaltender on the market. So let me know down below. Do you guys want to see Jake Allen re-signed? Or do you want to go Nico, Daws? Or is there a goaltender that I'm missing that's on the market that intrigues you? Let me know in the comments. A lot of Devils news. I mean, we're just a little bit away from July 1st, and we know they're going to be active. I mean, they don't trade Erik Haula for nothing. I mean, fourth round pick back, sure. That was a pure cap dump. They decided that, maybe a little bit older, struggled with injuries last year. We need to get better in our top six. Let's go create $3.15 million in cap. That's what Tom Fitzgerald did. I mean, Tom Fitzgerald this year, this offseason, there's definitely pressure. It's kind of amazing. You think about it. You go back 2023. How much pressure was on Tom Fitzgerald? Basically none. I mean, 2023, they just came off a playoff win. Multiple players hit career highs. Players looked like they were trending in the right direction. And here we are, 2025. And potentially Tom Fitzgerald's last season as a general manager. Now, I'm not saying fire him. I know some of the fan base is saying, fire him. He hasn't done it yet. It's not working. I'm not in that boat. I will say this, though. I mean, last offseason, you realize the Devils were not as physical of a team as they should have been. Goaltending was an issue. That all got fixed. All of it. But then next season, and you looked at what happened in the offense. 20th in goals. Still had a top 3 power play, but found a way to finish 20th. Jack Hughes goes down. No replacement. Never found your third or fourth line center. And that was after the year before they traded for Tyler Toffoli. So they knew they needed a little bit more or someone to put them over the edge. Then they get rid of Tyler Toffoli and they don't replace him. No replacement for Tyler Toffoli. Players who are, distinct bottom 6 players in free agency, but do fit that physical need that you needed. And then you got what you got. You had not as much scoring. Not that transitional game that made them very good the year prior. So when you didn't get those things and you saw what the result, well, sometimes that's 42 wins, 91 points. A first-round exit to Carolina. A Carolina team that traded their arguably two best offensive players in two different trades. So Carolina goes on. They win the series. Devils looking at, well, what went wrong? Because in December, they looked like a good team. December, January. You can talk about injuries all you want, and I do think they get past Carolina with a healthy team. But there were glaring holes. They didn't have enough offense. They never found a third and fourth line center. Now, it doesn't mean you should go ahead and overspend at third and fourth line, but you should have one in your pocket. I said today, Evgeny Kuznetsov, 1 year, prove-it deal, guy who's scored 70 points in this league before, has been on a Stanley Cup team. I mean, that's a guy I'd give 1 year, $1 million to. Maybe a little bit more than $1 million. I mean, Cody Glass wanted a little bit more than his number, or Devils weren't willing to come to the $2.5 million. And Cody Glass still, I think the Devils still are interested. Here's a San Jose pick. This is where it gets interesting. I know, just 2 picks. But this will get interesting because who do they go with here? Are they going to go with Frundell or is it Misa? Oh, they have a WWE person making the pick. I'm not a big WWE fan, so I can't tell you guys who's making this pick, but from what it seems like, WWE. San Jose, let me know in the chat. Is it going to be Misa or is it going to be Frundell? Let me know in the chat. Coming up, you have probably a couple seconds. Should be a couple seconds to comment it. San Jose on pick is in. It's Misa. All right, probably the right pick for San Jose. Misa, best forward in this draft. Center, skill, upside. It's a good pick from San Jose. I would assume Chicago up next. Chicago's going to go forward. Whether that be Frundell, Matone, they're going to go forward here. Which forward do they go, though? I mean, like I said, draft just got interesting. Michael Misa, second overall. San Jose. Islanders. I mean, Shagans could move back up, potentially into the top 5. You know, Boston might want to move back and get a couple of extra picks. We'll see with what teams do going forward. I mean, Utah has been said that they might want to move that 4th pick for a player that's ready right now. And going out and getting JJ Peterka shows that. I mean, you're a new team. You got to go get the fan base. Get the fan base involved. Make the playoffs. That's what I think Utah is looking to. You're new. You have that hype around you. It didn't work out in Arizona. It was a bad taste in everyone's mouth. Best way to make people forget about that is by winning, being competitive, playing playoff games, making moves like going out and getting JJ Peterka, making moves like last year going and getting Mikhail Sergachev. And that'll be interesting to see if the Devils do something like that. I know I said it earlier in the year at the trade deadline. I thought Matias Michelli would have been a great fit. And I still think he'd be a great fit. I mean, you got a player who's young enough, doesn't have a lot of term in his contract, and it could potentially score 70. So a Utah team that might be looking to make some moves, make some changes. Matias Maccelli, does he fit there? Does he not fit there? I think he fits in New Jersey, and I think he fits quite well in that top 6. He's got that playing style that's good in the transitional game. Where at New Jersey, when they were good or dominant, well, that's what they were good at. They were arguably the best team in the league the year they made the playoffs in the transitional game. Everyone was quick. Everyone was dynamic to an extent. But they had a lot of it. So is Matias Maccelli a player that they could target? Is that somebody who you would want to see the Devils target from Utah? Because I think Utah looking to do something. 4th overall. Could they go and trade it to the New York Islanders, and the New York Islanders get Schaefer and Higgins? Obviously, the 2 players they both want. Long Island kid, 1st overall pick, already done. Now it's just about getting the Long Island kid over there. We kind of saw Schaefer going, though, once Dawson was traded earlier today. Let me know in the comments who you thought won that trade between Montreal and New York Islanders. New York Islanders giving up 2 first-round, or Montreal Canadiens giving up 2 first-round picks for Noah Dobson. Dobson, down year last year, 70 points the year before that. So, I mean, young player. I really like it for Montreal. Right side defenseman. Gives Montreal another look, obviously, with Lane Hutson, who, should have been a top pick back in 2022. The fact that Lane Hutson dropped is just still incredible. In the second round, late second round, I was about to say third, but I guess technically second round. Today would be third round. Actually, no. Subtract that. But Lane Hutson dropping to the second round when in my opinion, I had him ranked as my 10th prospect. Top 3 defenseman in that draft. And, right now, with what you're looking at, clearly number 1. And I know we took Simone Nemec 2nd overall. Columbus goes with Juracek. And, when you look at Montreal and what Kent Hughes has done, he's done a fantastic job. Gets Dobson today, took Slavkovsky, and then took Hutson later on in the same draft, and has made a couple other nice moves. I see something in the comments. What's up, Devils fans? Are the Devils going to make any trades this offseason? We were talking about Matias Maccelli earlier. Is Maccelli somebody you'd want to see? I know the trade deadline, I was, saying it'd be like a 3rd round pick. That's like buying Bitcoin back in 2010 for a player who has the potential to put up 70 points on an expiring contract. That's definitely a player that I would look to. Some other players that could potentially be traded and help New Jersey. We did see a little bit of Jason Robertson. Would need to give up a little bit extra if you wanted Jason Robertson. I think that's where, we're speculating about Dawson Mercer. He comes into play. Nemec comes into play. Few players would come into play. Yeah, we do definitely need a 3rd-line center and a top 6 winger. And I think, for me, it's clear. You spend at your top 6. 3rd-line center is probably not something where you spend a ton of money. You go and you get a cheaper option like in Evgeny Kuznetsov. Prove it year, has a track record, 1-year deal, not locked in. I feel like that's where you go with your centers in your depth, because last year they couldn't figure out a 3rd or 4th line center. One night it was Dowling, another night it was Lazar. Cody Glass was kind of playing all over the place. Another pick coming in Chicago. Markstrom was just traded, so I doubt he gets moved again. But Markstrom, definitely something that definitely a player who could fit and has been a top or bottom 6 role on some good teams. Chicago picking right now. Let's see. Who did they go with? I don't have the volume and I don't have a picture. Oh, no, they didn't pick yet. Okay. Chicago making the pick. Jeremy Roenick making the pick tonight for Chicago. Michael Misa went second. And then Matthew Schaefer first overall. Still watching on the Shagans. Do the New York Islanders go ahead and make a trade back in the top 5, top 7? See if they do that and go and get James Higgins. It'd be cool. Islanders would be embracing the rebuild if they make another move. Obviously, trading Noah Dobson points that way. Something they should have done a while ago. But Darch, you want to go and make your name for yourself? I mean, they were kind of sick of Lou Lamoriello when he went out. Go and make Shagans a reality. I guess as a Devils fan, I probably shouldn't be rooting for it. I am from Long Island, so obviously rooting for James Higgins, but don't want the Islanders being good either. Don't want stuff to help the New York Islanders. Antoine Frundell to Chicago. I think that's what was expected. I think Porter Matrone probably goes next to Utah, or does Utah move it? I mean, Utah wants to get good. I mean, you're a new team, have to get the fans involved, want to make the playoffs, have to make moves, have to get people excited. Bad ending in Arizona. Do they go ahead and trade 4th overall to the New York Islanders? Because the New York Islanders do it, they lock in Shagans. It's official. Schaefer and Higgins would both be New York Islanders if the Islanders go ahead and make a trade with Utah for 4th overall. Islanders already made one trade, traded Noah Dobson for 2 first-round picks, not a super deep draft. So you have to assume that they're trying to get back in to the top 5 or near there. So they have a shot at James Higgins. James Higgins still on the board. You go back a year ago, James Higgins was the number 1 overall projected pick. And I mean, he had a nice year at Boston College. 11 goals, pretty much a point per game player. Maybe didn't score as much as guys like Eichel did in their draft years, or guys like Macklin Celebrini, and it made him drop a little bit. Wasn't a bad year, but some other guys, came up ahead of him. Like I said, Matthew Schaefer didn't even play a lot this year. You're going on what he could be and upside. So, and I think that's the way to go. You have a top pick, that's where you go. You go with your upside. You're not there as a general manager to, go with high floor, low ceiling. You want to go top because you were a bad team the year before. Vegas trying to free up cap space. Yes, something about Tomas Hertl potentially going to the Carolina Hurricanes. I did see that. Yeah, they're going to be in on Marner. I think my 3 teams for Marner were San Jose, Vegas, and Chicago. I'm going to stick with those 3. Hopefully, you keep them in the West. I know people will go and see Toronto. Toronto wasn't a good team in the playoffs. Mitch Marner struggled. Not a playoff performer. Toronto, I think every single year for me, still scared me in the playoffs if I was a team playing them. I know they never got over it. They have struggles that, can't completely put into words because it's been happening almost every single year. But to Toronto, not a complete team, and that obviously had something to do with it, doesn't make Mitch Marner a bad player. Mitch Marner scored 100 points in this league. You don't want him in the East. You can go ahead and take a player off the Florida Panthers and put Mitch Marner in there. Are the Panthers still winning the Stanley Cup? Yes. Are they a little bit more dominant? Probably. Mitch Marner's not what made that team bad. It was, not the best roster construction defensively. They don't move the puck well in the transitional game. Morgan Rielly's taking a step back. They were a little bit older. They're going through guys like Mark Giordano, TJ Brody. When you're going through players like that and kind of just patching it up, it wouldn't work. But yes, Vegas definitely seems to be trying to clear up cap space and make a move at Mitch Marner. Tomas Hertl, I mean, think about that for a second. Is that someone who the Devils should be in on? I mean, I know, yeah, he's a center. You have a few of those. I said I don't want to spend $5 million at third line center, but is there a way you could kind of flip that into a wing position in your top six? Could you find a way to make, a line like Jack Hughes, Jesper Bratt, and Tomas Hertl work? Then, you go to your second line, Hischier, Meier. If Mercer's still there, Gritzuk, who I'm very big on. Is that something that you could make work if you're New Jersey and Sheldon Keefe for the draft for next season? Is that a trade where you can make work? Because, I think they're going to sell low on Hertl. Because you look at where we are right now and what Vegas wants to do. And everyone knows that if they trade Tomas Hertl, what they are going to do, what they want to do. They're going to go ahead and get Mitch Marner. So I don't think there's a team in the league that is going to go ahead and try and help out Vegas. I think Vegas is going to wind up selling low on Hertl, and then they better go ahead and get Mitch Marner. Because if not, I mean, they traded for Hertl not too long ago. They put draft capital into it. It wouldn't look good for Vegas, and I know Vegas, well, does Vegas care about that part? But, yeah, Marner, Vegas, that's definitely a possibility. I said San Jose, Chicago could be involved, should be involved. Whether either of those teams are able to get Mitch Marner, that'll be fun July 1st, seeing where Mitch Marner goes. Hopefully we're at least in talks. I mean, last year, we look at it, Johnathan Marchessault, potentially almost a New Jersey Devil. Rumors a little bit this year that Nashville might want to get rid of him after a bad season last year. So New Jersey were aggressive last offseason. Didn't really turn into a ton into making a big splash. I mean, Brett Pesce, I think, would have been considered a little bit bigger if it wasn't rumored for like the past 2 months that he was going to the Devils. Nobody else was even in talks with it because it just seemed like he was going to New Jersey. Utah made their pick, so Islanders not trading for 4th overall. Gary Bettman up here. Utah, 4th overall pick. Let's see where they go with this pick. I don't know who they're having make the pick yet. It's coming up. Silk Bettman. So, yeah, no. Here, Utah making their 4th overall pick. They also moved up in the draft as well as the New York Islanders making a pick right now. I would move off Dougie this year. Well, that gets interesting July 1st because Dougie's no trade list turns into a 10-team trade list. What teams would he put on there? I mean, you got to think about it. He's going to put the New York Rangers on there. I'd assume he puts the Flyers, Islanders, teams that he knows the Devils won't trade him to, will go on that list. So, I mean, it's not a complete 10-team trade list, but, Yeah, the Dougie Hamilton situation will be interesting because, I mean, we look last year and the type of year that he had. His shot didn't look like it was still there. Didn't have a, overall like dominant season he did 2 years ago. Defensively struggled. He's always kind of been a little bit of a slower player. I mean, he relies a lot on probabilities. I mean, if I send the puck to the net 10 different times, doesn't really matter how it got there. It got there 10 different times. Can we create a chance out of it? Can it go in the net? A little bit more of that. Not so much of a finesse game. Deking players out. Not so much Dougie Hamilton's game. It's a probability game. Put 10 pucks on net. Something's going to happen in those 10 pucks that get on net. Kind of a little bit more of Dougie Hamilton's game, why he was so, good in a Carolina system. Because that's their whole system. Point shots, get the pucks into hide in your scoring chances. Doesn't matter how it gets there, just put it there. And that's what Dougie Hamilton does do. Luke, 8 million, 40 million tied up on our back, and that's crazy. Well, it is when you think about it. Okay, so, Devils, obviously, they want to go get Quinn Hughes. Luke Hughes, you have to sign long-term. So that's something that, you probably do. But it is interesting because you do say it is crazy. And it's interesting because the Florida Panthers are kind of changing, obviously, their style of play. But they're changing how GMs spend their money. You look at Florida, and they had just won multiple Presidents Trophies, had went to a Stanley Cup final, and now they've won 2 in a row. And what have they done? They don't spend on defense. They don't spend much on defense. We just won a Stanley Cup. Brandon Montour, you want a new contract? Yeah, we're not meeting that number. Oliver Ekman-Larsson, you need a new contract? Yep, Toronto. We'll see you in round 2. Nate Schmidt, don't hear too much about anymore. Signed. Florida and how they handle their defense. I mean, Kulikov, former Devil. They don't spend on defense. That's not their thing. They put their money toward the offense. And that's why they can give Sam Bennett 8x8. Because they have multiple defensemen not making a ton. I remember there was a game in the Stanley Cup final. I forget the exact personnel. But there was a game in the Stanley Cup final against Vegas where Florida had 4 players making $1 million or less in the lineup in a Stanley Cup final game. And that's just kind of crazy to look at. And Bill Zito seems like, I think you have to say he's a top 2 general manager in the NHL. And I don't think it's very arguable. Bill Zito has figured out a way to build a Florida Panther team that's good offensively, good defensively, without paying much on his defense. I mean, it's just crazy. I mean, they've won 2 Stanley Cups now, and he just switches up his defensive personnel. That's fine. Go make your money somewhere else. We'll be fine. We'll go back to back. That's okay. So it is interesting. I know you say 8 million, 40 million tied up into our defense. Probably don't love that. It doesn't sound super enticing, but when you start naming guys like Luke Hughes, Quinn Hughes, Dougie Hamilton for right now, it sounds a little bit better. Brett Pesce, who you just signed last offseason, who was great for the Devils last season. The Devils definitely have good personnel. That's not something, like, defense is not so much a problem for New Jersey. Like, I don't think they're going to be out there, tracking down a defenseman. They might go get a depth defenseman because we saw how the playoffs went and everyone's getting hurt. They might go get a depth defenseman, but we know what their needs are. Top 6 forward. depth center, backup goaltender. That's where they're going to be looking to. That's where the money is going to go. And top 6 winger has got to take priority. That has to be the priority of the Devils. I mean, that's where you win Stanley Cups. You have to win because you had more stars. You had the better superstars. There's a reason why, I mean, I know people say depth wins championships. Well, there's a reason why your superstars and stars get paid more money. They're just a little bit more important. I mean, yes, you need to have depth. Absolutely. But you're winning Stanley Cups because of your stars. You know, the needle isn't moving because of your depth. Your stars need to be in place first. Yeah, no, our forward group definitely needs another winger in the top 6. Now, Gritsuk could be that player. I mean, I think that's what you're banking on. That's what you're hoping for. That Gritsuk is able to come in here and, you know, kind of prove himself, so to say. So, Gritsuk, potential, you know, top 6 winger this season. And, I mean, that would be huge for the Devils. When you can get a player not making a ton of money and being a contributor to this Devils team. Okay. Nashville is up next. Nashville, another potential team to make a trade. Does Barry Trotz want to go help out the Islanders one more time? I think he's done enough, and I think he's actually the one in debt. But Barry Trotz making the next selection. Horrid year 1. Honestly, I think if he wasn't their coach for as long as he was, I think that was a fireable year 1. But Barry Trotz and the Nashville Predators up here at number 5. Where do they go? Timo Meier. Yeah, you know, I think the Devils definitely took a step forward in terms of grit, playing with physicality. But when you look at this team when it was really good, it was that transitional game. They were quicker than other players onto pucks. They were better at getting into the zone. They were better at creating the zone. They had controlled entries into the zone. They were able to play better in the neutral zone. You know, their defensemen were able to take the puck and send it back up the other way, up ice. Grit was definitely important. Physicality. I mean, if you can get a player kind of like a Timo Meier, I think Timo Meier is our Timo Meier. But if you get another player like him, I mean, they're very unique. They're unique players who can, you know, make a difference. I mean, there's not too many Bulls in the league who can score 40 goals. Timo Meier is one of them. Now, hopefully you get the 40 goals next year. But what I really hope the Devils do is they get back to that transitional game. Nikolai Ehlers is number 1 on my list in terms of signings. You guys can let me know down in the chat who your number 1 player you're looking to. But Nikolai Ehlers, I think that's a great fit for the Devils. Who did they just take? All right, still waiting on it. Barry Trotz making the selection. It'll be interesting to see what Nashville does here. But yeah, no, that was a disaster. First year. Oh, did they make it? I don't think so. All right, I'm waiting. Sorry, guys. If somebody wants to let me know in the chat, did they make it? My volume's so low, I can't really see. I don't think they made it, though. Did they make it? Did they draft Brady Martin? I don't know. Okay. All right. So I don't know if Nashville's still on the clock or if Nashville just made their selection. I don't know. I should probably have the volume on, but I don't. So I'll wait and see on that. But yeah, thank you for tuning in, guys. Definitely, Devils have an interesting and busy next couple days. Obviously, we have free agency on Tuesday. Looking, like I said, looking toward Nikolai Ehlers, backup goaltending. They didn't make the pick. They picked Brady Martin. Like I just said, if he wasn't the general manager there or coach there for as long as he was, he'd be fired. Brady Martin to the Nashville Predators. I mean, good for Brady Martin. I'm not saying nothing to say that these players they're going when a player just goes a little bit, before when they should. And there's other guys available. It does make me kind of scratch my head, especially when the person makes the pick has just messed up a ton in 1 year. I think. Okay. So yeah, Brady Martin, congratulations, 5th overall to Nashville. Go and play well there, because hey, that doesn't even affect the Devils. So go, good for Brady Martin. Ehlers' injury history. Yeah, he does kind of get hurt every single season, and it feels like the Devils have that issue every single season. So maybe he fits right in. I would take the risk, though. I think he's a player who fits the Devils' system very well. I believe he's in the 94th percentile in terms of speed. So that's the type of player that you're looking to. When he's in the lineup, he's going to help. You just hope, because the Devils should be a playoff team next year. You really hope that they go into the playoffs with a healthy team. So hopefully Nikolai Ehlers, if the Devils are able to get him, would be healthy for the playoffs. I've seen Carolina in on them. I'm hoping New Jersey's in on them. So we'll see what happens there. I mean, we've seen we've heard that they're keeping an eye on the Jason Robertson situation. And I wasn't a huge Jason Robertson fan when he scored 100 points. I kind of thought he scored a little bit more than the type of player that he was. I think that was a little bit of an outlier. But when you see a player who scores 80, 75, 70, in that range, you're still a really good player. You're still a top player in the league. You're still something you're going to give money up to. Philadelphia here, hopefully they mess it up. Who do they have make it? I think it's going to be Charles Barkley. Yep. Charles Barkley making the pick for the Philadelphia Flyers. I'm going to say they're going to go Matrone. We'll wait and see, though, who Philadelphia is going to pick. Charles Barkley getting into hockey as of recent. It's always good when you see former players in other sports, give to the game. So it is nice to see that they have Charles Barkley there, because he definitely has a following in terms of an NBA audience. And hopefully, NHL can continue to grow. We'll see what Philadelphia does here. It seems like they're having a conversation. Multiple, hopefully, conversations continue in what the Devils are going to do when free agency opens up. And maybe they do something tonight. Maybe they go ahead and they make a move tonight. And, getting back in the first round, probably something more like a 3-way trade if they do that. They have some picks tomorrow. There's the pick. Porter Matrone. Yep. That was probably expected with that other guys who were still on the board. That's a great pick for Philadelphia. You look at, they just traded for Trevor Zegras. Obviously got Drysdale in that trade. Mitchkov. So, they're building a good young forward group, Philadelphia. Porter Matrone, that was a really good pick. So, yeah. next contract. Yeah, that's an interesting thing with Jason Robertson's next contract. He's got 1 year left, and maybe that's why Dallas is kind of shopping him a little bit, maybe a little bit disappointed with his past 2 playoff performances. That number probably gets into double digits, especially if he has a point per game season this year. It's probably a double-digit number in terms of millions. But you get him long-term. It's a guy who, relatively young, has shown he can be a point-per-game player in the league. I mean, I'm not worried so much about him falling down to, a 50-point player or, just a 20-goal scorer. No, he scored 40 twice. He's been right around point-per-game player the past 2 years, 109 the year before that. So you'd be giving money, but you'd be putting money in the right spots. You want to put money into your stars. So, yeah, contract, definitely something you got to look to. But when you get a star, you get a star. So, something you would look to. Porter Patron, though, in Philadelphia, having a good off-season so far with Zegras and now Matrone. I wish we were in on Zegras. Now, I know that a lot of people have kind of fallen off the favoritism for Trevor Zegras, but he's scored 60 twice before the age of 24. It's not like he's lost it. It's not like he's just a bad player all of a sudden. That's not what's going on with Zegras. The Duck system doesn't seem like it's a very good system. It seems like a lot of the younger players were struggling there under Mike Cronin's system. It wasn't working. Is he a player who could probably, give a little bit more effort? I mean, you kind of see him. He does rely a lot on his skill, but the other side can be coached. When a player's already that skilled in the NHL, that's a lot tougher to coach. That's a lot tougher to come by. We know he's skilled. We know he has it. We see him score 60 points twice before the age of 24. I would have liked to have seen the Devils in on him, and now he's going to go over and play probably with Matvei Michkov and just put his point totals up over there in Philadelphia. But, I mean, a guy that I'm looking to in this draft, goaltender, Semyon Frolov. That's the guy that I like a lot. I spoke about it a little bit earlier with Yegorov having a good year up at Boston College. And then, maybe down in the future, I'm talking 3, 4, 5, 4 or 5 years down the way, that could maybe be a good tandem. Giroux, I feel like depending on what his next contract is going to be, I wouldn't be opposed at all to Claude Giroux. It's funny. I didn't think about Claude Giroux. Claude Giroux, I think, would actually be a good fit. He is a player who would be good playoff time. Not, that 90, 80-point player that he once was. Middle six player. Definitely an upgrade over Andre Palat. So, upgrade over Andre Palat by a good margin, but that's probably the spot that he would take in the Devils' middle six. So, Claude Giroux, depending on what he's going to sign, I've seen a lot seeing Toronto, potentially back to Ottawa. So, I don't know where Claude Giroux would stand. I mean, if he's seeing what Philadelphia is doing, maybe he even gets interested going back to Philadelphia. But Claude Giroux would definitely be interesting seeing what they do there. But Porter Matrone, 6 overall to Philadelphia. Not great. Now, here's Boston. Now, this could get interesting. You have Boston here at 7. James Higgins is on the clock. I mean, the Islanders have to trade back into it and get James Higgins, or that's not a good trade that they gave up Noah Dobson for 2 first-round picks in a draft that is not deep. So if you don't go here, this might be the pick where James Higgins goes, and then the Islanders. I mean, we just saw Philadelphia do a really good thing in our division, or good for them, team in our division. Be great. Yeah, Islanders, they got to find a way back in here. Let's go after Tuck in Buffalo. I like that. I like Tuck. That would be something that I think, I mean, not, or it wouldn't be a Sam Bennett, but that's someone who I think if you got him back into the playoffs, he'd be a star. He would be a star if you got Alexander Tuck back into the playoffs. Kind of like, not probably the same impact as a Sam Bennett, but you looked at Sam Bennett and how he kind of went from that bust to couldn't really crack a Calgary lineup, gets traded over to Florida, has a good first couple of games with Florida, obviously after the trade deadline, and then explodes once they get in the playoffs. I don't think you were even talking too much about Sam Bennett if you went back to this time, 2 years and whatever amount of months. Go back to March of 2023. You weren't talking as much about Sam Bennett. Now, 8x8. Interesting to see how it changes. No, I know Bennett signed, but I think Tuck would be a player who all of a sudden you start talking about a lot because the playoffs make him. I think getting Alex Tuck back into the playoffs, I'm just saying same type of story. Bennett, don't talk about him as much. All of a sudden gets in the playoffs 8x8. Tuck, I think he gets into the playoffs. I think he'd be a star in the playoffs. Here's Boston selection. Do they go James Higgins? Adam Sandler. I think they're going to go Higgins, but we'll wait and see. There it is. James Higgins to the Boston Bruins, and that is not a good trade by the New York Islanders. You give up point-per-game defenseman, who I think that's what he turns into. You have a point-per-game defenseman for 16th and 17th overall in a draft that's not very deep. I mean, you can say that, they're going into a full rebuild, and I understand that for sure. But Dobson was still a player you could have built around. If you're going to trade him for something a little bit better than what they did. Diamond in the rough to be signed. What do you mean by that? I've heard the term before, but what do you mean by diamond in the rough? And I'm almost embarrassed to say it because I've heard the term before, but I got to learn something new today. Let me know what you mean by that, but that's my apologies, my bad. Let me know. But James Higgins, 7th overall to Boston. I mean, I'm just thinking that the Islanders, how they messed that up. Yeah, if you don't make that trade with Dobson, if you're not gonna trade back in and get James Higgins. I think James Higgins is gonna be a great player. I would not be shocked if he winds up being the best forward in this draft. Like I said, I'd say great year at Boston College, but didn't light it up. Didn't have that Jack Eichel type year. Didn't have that Macklin Celebrini that type year, and he falls. I mean, this time last year, he's supposed to go number 1. Now he's going 7. But if you're looking at players who I'd want to sign, Nico Ehlers, really, that's kind of who I think fits Devil system and would work. It'll be interesting to see other players who get to free agency. I know it probably doesn't happen. Brad Marchand, and that sounds crazy to say as a Devils fan. Could Brad Marchand be someone who the Devils look to if he gets to free agency? And today Florida stopped Sam Bennett from getting there. So do they stop Brad Marchand? James Higgins being interviewed. So James Higgins in Boston, staying in Boston. So, I mean, Yeah, it's saying in Boston because he plays at Boston College. So, pipeline draft, etc. Who's in the pipeline? I don't think there's any players. I mean, Arseniy Griciuk, who I think we all kind of expect to make the roster this year. Outside of that, I don't think there are any players that are going to be battling for a roster spot with the Devils. It doesn't seem like there's, maybe they'll make some, some signings as we get closer to preseason, but it doesn't feel like anybody in the system right now is going to jump into an NHL role. I really kind of look to Arseniy Griciuk as the one to do it, and I think no problems gets a role. I'm hoping he's in the top 6. But yeah, I don't think there's anyone there. I said earlier who I want the Devils to go after for in the draft, Semyon Frolov. I think he's the best goaltender in this draft. I feel like he's going to be there at 50. So the Devils should have a chance to draft a goaltender, and I think he's great. 921 save percentage in 27 games last year in the MHL. So I would go Frolov. Rybkin's another guy who is, interesting. I mean, he's really fallen over the past year. He had 19 goals in 27 games with the Lumberjacks. So, I mean, those are the two players that I am looking to when you get into the second round. Players who the Devils could target. But, we'll see where Tom Fitzgerald feels at that point. Yeah, I think, so I think Griciuk is going to make the team. Yeah, Shane LeChance, I don't know if he's an NHL player. Potentially could turn into a fourth line center, and that'd be great. If you can go be a fourth line center for New Jersey, you're totally happy. That was a great trade to be a part of. If you can bring Shane LeChance in and be a fourth line center. Now, is he going to be a fourth line center? That'll be a little bit. That time will tell. I'll say on that. But if he can become a fourth line center, you're totally happy being part of that trade. And I think Edmonton's pretty happy. They just went 8 years earlier today with Trent Frederick. Drafting is huge. Yes. I mean, yeah, you look at this Devils team built through the draft. Obviously, you have some add-ons with Dougie Hamilton, Timo Meier. But, yeah, you build your core through the draft. And, I mean, this year, not the best pick, only at 50. That's their first pick, first time since 2023. They're not making a first-round pick all of 2 years. But yeah, the two guys that I liked are Frolov and Rybkin, who I think have a potential to be available at 50. I think Frolov will definitely be there. I don't know about Rybkin because he's fallen, so a team might still view him as a first-round pick. So we'll see what they do there. So now it's Nashville up. Oh, no, sorry. Seattle. Seattle making their 8th overall pick. That's a team that don't really know what they're doing. Great year 2. I've gone through now 2 head coaches on their 3rd. I don't know what they're doing. Haven't had great free agencies considering with guys like Burakovsky, Grubauer. Who are the other 2 guys? I'm blanking on it. So I take Jake O'Brien. Burakovsky. Who are the other 2 guys? Oh, Stevenson. Yeah, so Seattle's interesting. I don't know where they're going right now. Yeah, the Peterka trade. Yeah, I mean, you look at what Kevin. I mean, I saw things that saying that Marco Rossi was offered, if you took Michael Kesselring, who I don't think is a bad defenseman, over Marco Rossi and that potential, I mean, he was scoring 60 points playing like 15 minutes a night. That's a little crazy. That's, I mean, I would say fireable, but it seems like Kevin Adams must, for some reason, they can't fire him. I don't know if, I don't know why, but Kevin Adams seems to kind of just have will at whatever he wants to do. So yeah, that's definitely a not a great trade if you're Buffalo, but how often does Buffalo make good trades? It's probably why they're in the position that they're in, because when, they do make trades, it's the good players that they drafted who go on and do good things. Jake O'Brien at 8th overall to Seattle. Buffalo, of all teams, up next. Let's see if they trade it. And trade this pick. I mean, still a team that they want to get in the playoffs this year. And I think Kevin Adams, I said he feels like he's almost untouchable. I'd be shocked if he doesn't get in the playoffs and they don't fire him. But I mean, I guess I was shocked this offseason as well. And it's interesting because Kevin Adams' tenure to start with Buffalo was good. And like the past 2 seasons he's made basically every single wrong move. I mean, they traded their first round pick, top 10 pick, for a 4th line center. How does that make sense? And this year, I mean, Peterka out. So yeah, but trading Savoie for McLeod. What is going on there? But Jake O'Brien, 8th overall to Seattle, showing some of Seattle's picks, what they've done. Shane Wright, he really turned it around last season. A player the Devils had a chance to draft, and I mean, you're looking at that 3rd line center. Well, he was there, but maybe you don't have Simone Nemec's overtime winner in Game 3. So I guess you win some, you lose some, you don't know. And Simone Nemec still has a lot of potential. But you look back, Cooley, right? Maybe a little bit more of a need for the Devils at this point, especially thinking that they're going to go ahead and get Quinn Hughes. So they have Schaefer out here talking. Yeah, no, Logan Cooley, that was another one. They let pass by. But I do think if they were picking number 1, they probably would have went Juraj Slafkovsky. Or if Montreal went ahead and took Wright, they would have taken Slafkovsky. So, which, I mean, he's trying to break that 50-point mark. We'll see the type of year. I mean, Montreal, another team. I mean, the offense. I mean, Kent Hughes has done an amazing job. You look at the young core they have. I mean, that Laine trade, that was fantastic trade. I mean, before last year, Laine, I don't think people realize Laine had 105 points in 111 games in his last 111 games. So he went and got Laine, drafted Demidov. Has found a way to, make this team. I mean, he picked the right coach in Marty St. Louis, and put them into a playoff team this year. And then you go defensively. After that Noah Dobson trade, you're talking guys like, Dobson, Gooley, Hudson, Reinbacher. I mean, that Montreal team, they're not too far off. They're not too far off from at least a conference final, and I think that they have the right guy managing that team in Kent Hughes. I think it's just a matter of time until he wins a GM of the Year award. Sabres have been bad since the mid-90s. Yeah, it hasn't been nice for the Sabres in a very long time. And it should be, because I think if you just took a team of former Sabre players, you'd have a Stanley Cup contending team. You look at it, you'd have Eichel, Reinhart, Peterka. There are other players who kind of just went there and had a cup of coffee, so I don't want to say guys like Taylor Hall or anything like that. But you look at that team and the type of players that they traded away, and they can't seem to figure out what they're doing wrong. Ryan O'Reilly, they can't seem to figure it out. It's maybe almost like they should just do nothing. And I know that it's almost contradicted, because you can say, well, no, they need to do something. So it's such a mess there. I mean, do you go into your 6th rebuild since you've made the playoffs? Might have to be what's done. Their team, unlike Montreal, who I do not think has the right man in place as manager. Buffalo's pick is in. We'll see where they go with this. Buffalo at 9. We'll see what they do here, but yeah, no, that wasn't a good pick. Looks like Jack Hughes has put on weight. He just had shoulder surgery, so it looks like Jack Hughes has put on weight and will be in a better position next season. I mean, you can't completely change a player's style. I mean, he's been a 99-point player, so you can't completely change his style. You gotta let him play the way he plays, and hopefully he can get a little bit stronger. Mercer at number 9 to Buffalo. He'll be gone in 6 years. Canadians have no fans left, right? Have no cap left. Yeah, no, they don't have a ton of cap, but they actually have a good team they've built in their system. So they might have no cap, but I think that they're definitely I think they're probably a playoff team again this year. You look around how the Metro and Atlantic played out. I think, Devils feel pretty good about getting back there. Carolina, good chance, especially with all they have to play with in the offseason. Florida, yeah, obviously. Toronto, good chance of it. Tampa, I don't think is definite. And Montreal, I think is a good team. I mean, Ottawa definitely isn't definite. No, Montreal's a good team. They're not too far off from being in a conference final. They really aren't that far off from being in a conference final. And Kent Hughes winning General Manager of the Year. They got a really, really good young team. I think Montreal makes the playoffs pretty easily next year. We don't have a top 6 winger. Yeah, we definitely do need a top 6 winger. I'm hoping for Ehlers. Nikolai Ehlers would be I think a very good fit for New Jersey. But yeah, guys, thanks for tuning in. I'm going to go after the 10th overall pick, but I really appreciate you guys tuning in. We're definitely going to be doing this again for free agency. We'll get a timeout there and do this again for free agency. But I appreciate you guys tuning in. We're staying till the end of the 10th pick, though, so we're here till the end of the 10th pick. Just want to come in, check with you guys. Obviously, we had some good conversations tonight. But yeah, so appreciate you guys tuning in. We'll definitely be back here for free agency on Tuesday. But But yeah, no, this is great. Devils potentially making a move. We'll see. They have 2 second-round picks tomorrow. Right move off Rodriguez. I mean, yeah, Rodriguez has shown that he can play in the playoffs. Outside of that time when he took that really bad penalty for Pittsburgh and allowed the Rangers to get back in that series and ultimately win it. Back in Game 6 for next year. Yeah, this that's a little bit there for the Islanders. Doesn't look that doesn't look great. I think they really thought they were gonna get James Higgins, and they didn't. And I think Islander fans should still be happy about tonight, but I understand the complaints. Well, here's the thing: you can't complain as an Islander fan if you were the person saying trade Noah Dobson. Then you had a fantastic night. You got Noah Dobson off the books. You drafted the replacement who's probably gonna be better. Then you can't be complaining. But was the Noah Dobson return probably underwhelming in terms of where they're gonna pick? I mean, it becomes more underwhelming because everyone kind of thought when the trade happened that they're gonna get James Higgins. I think for the past, 5 hours, we all thought they were going to find a way to get James Higgins. First move in terms of draft or free agency. Anaheim on the clock. That's another general manager who trying to figure out what he's doing. I don't think the Zegras trade made a lot of sense. I think Zegras is a good player still. I don't think he got a good return back. And I don't think that it makes any sense trading a young player under 24 scored 60 points twice when their value is the lowest. I don't think that makes any sense whatsoever. I know you have kind of a bunch-up group of forwards, but you don't trade a player like that on at their lowest. Moving off of Palat probably makes the most sense. Do I think it happens? No. But it makes the most sense for sure. Yeah, Anaheim only seems to like only seems to help the New York Rangers with those type of things. Trouba, Kreider. Somehow they got assets for both. And then if we want to trade Dougie Hamilton, we might have to send something with Dougie Hamilton. Good old Pat Verbeek. Anaheim, though, at 10. Pick is not in yet. I wonder if they're trading. Maybe Palat. Maybe we're about to trade Andre Palat for the 10th overall pick. I mean, that would make draft night for us. If we can do that. Yeah, Palat definitely had a tough season. But, I mean, I always remember from that Game 7. I mean, I don't think two of the first 3 goals were all him. He created a turnover on both goals. So, I definitely always love that for him. And, Palat is somebody I like, but does it make sense to move off his contract? Probably. Yep. Yeah, right. 10th overall pick for Andre Palat. All right, here they go. Who are they going to take? Oh, I wonder if I'm not even going to recognize these guys. Excuse me. Yeah, I don't even recognize them anymore. Oh, okay. All right, I don't know. We'll see what Anaheim does here at number 10.
Okay. So yeah, Anaheim up here at 10, free agency on Tuesday. I'll be live for it, so definitely come in, tune in, have some fun. We'll talk some more Devils hockey. I appreciate everyone who came in tonight. We had a great conversation tonight. Those of you throwing opinions in the chats, and those of you just watching, appreciate all of you for joining tonight. I'll definitely be back for free agency. Looking at the pick right now, Anaheim, are they ever going to announce it? Okay. But yeah, no, I appreciate everyone for joining here tonight. Had some fun. Definitely was happy to come on here and talk with you guys. Roger McQueen at number 10 to the Anaheim Ducks. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Definitely going to be going live again on Tuesday. I'll get a time out there, hoping for somewhere around 11 a.m. because, 12 p.m. is the official signing. But we know stuff happens. We know that before 12 that we know where players are going. So hopefully 11 a.m. on Tuesday. I'll let you guys know, but appreciate you guys joining in, and you guys all have a great rest of the night. Definitely, keep leaving your comments on videos. Love when you guys do that, and I'll definitely make sure to get back to them. Or if there's any type of videos or content you guys want to see, let me know. Appreciate you guys joining tonight, and I'll see you guys all really soon.